a Monday Night Football primetime game for your Houston Texans. We're here. We're going to talk Texans versus Bucs preview. We're going to talk about the latest rumors around the Houston Texans. Everything you need to know around your favorite team. We got you going on this beautiful Wednesday. If you're just now joining us for the first time on a Wednesday, mark your calendars. Every Wednesday at 3:30, we will be going live here at Texans Today to break down everything you need to know for the upcoming matchup that's going on this week around your Houston Texans, the latest injury news, everything you need to know. We got you covered. So I want to know, how you feeling going into week 2? What's your confidence level in the Texans getting a dub on Monday? Scale it 1 to 10. 1, no confidence at all. 10, you have the most confidence in the world. Let me know down in the comments section. And shout out to producer Lopez on the 1s and 2s. Usually I have my guy Casey a little under the weather today. So Lopez filling in beautifully like nothing was ever wrong, right? Not like nothing ever happened. Lopez killing it on the 1s and 2s. Shout out to him. I see a 5 from Krautsky, Brendan, M. Dorito, 6 for Emmanuel. Byron says 3. Cosmo says 7. Jaime Garcia says 5. How are you feeling? I know you didn't necessarily cover the Texans game this past week, but something that we do have in today's live show. Lopez, Saints fan. We're playing the Bucs, so an NFC South foe. How should Texans feel going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 2?
Y'all got the Bucs. Y'all got them.
We got them?
Trust.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield's good. I'll give him that. But the rest of the NFC South is ass. So when you're like, oh, the Buccaneers win the division every year, well, because we all kind of suck.
Okay. I mean, the Bucs, obviously, they had a good season last year. They had a week 1 victory over the Atlanta Falcons. So hopefully the Texans can give them their first loss of the season, and the Texans can avoid going 0-2, because you do not want to be going into week 3 0-2. I see my guy Matt Fluhey in the building spamming a 5. Terrence Hogan gives me one of these and a 10. Let's freaking go. And as I mentioned, coming up on the live show today, I have the keys to victory up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also, the latest Texans rumors going on today. One glaring weakness that I think all Texans fans should be worried about going into this week 2 matchup. And at the end of the show, we're going to have a mailbag. So use hashtag Texans or Super Chat to get on the program. Lopez is going to be able to pull up your questions. If you use hashtag Texans or you Super Chat to get on the show, that's the only way you'll be able to get on. So hashtag Texans or Super Chat if you want your comment, question, whatever, up on the show. And we actually have a pretty fun show on tap for you today, because we have a couple giveaways to do on today's show. One did not get claimed on our Sunday show, so we have a giveaway that's going to go on today. We have a CJ Stroud Funko Pop. Every dollar that you spend in Super Chats is going to be a ticket for this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. If one person sends in $1, I'm sending you this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. If, we have multiple people, we'll spin a wheel at the end of the show to see who gets it. Also, $5, our month-long raffle. And, folks, it just got in. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I need the white gloves for this one. It is already in the glass, so we should be good.
Ooh.
Oh, there we go.
That pop figure, by the way, fire. It was tough.
Our month-long raffle, every $5 you spend is another raffle ticket for this thing right here. A Nico Collins autograph picture, JSA certified from Fanatics. I mean, absolutely sick. Absolutely sick. This was actually one of the coolest things that I found on the Fanatics website, and I was like, yo, I told our bosses this has got to be the month-long raffle. This is going to be the month-long raffle right here. So every $5 you spend in the month of September gives you a raffle ticket for this bad boy. But we are giving away the CJ Stroud Funko Pop on today's show because it wasn't claimed this Sunday. So lucky for y'all, somebody is going to get it during today's show. Oh, Jaime, I 100% agree with you. I don't want to come into work after this Texans-Bucs game on Monday Night Football. And you know, obviously it's probably, sucks for y'all. I work at Chat Sports where everybody here, all they do is watch the NFL. So everybody here, if the Texans lose, are going to give me the most shit about it. So I need a Texans win this week, like I need oxygen. Let me know your score predictions down below in the comments section. And if you could, wipe them feet. Go ahead and hit that like button. Smash the thumbs up icon and help us out. We got over almost 100 people watching right now, but only 16 likes. So if you could, help us out a little bit and hit that like button. Hit that like button if you could. Kesey Gaming says 24-17 for the good guys, for the Houston Texans. Let me know your score. Lopez is saying 69-0. Love it. Absolutely love it. I think I want the Texans to get points, obviously. I think it's, for them to win, it's got to be more of a low-scoring game. But remember what happened the last time the Texans and Bucs played C.J. Stroud's rookie year. It was an absolute show. C.J. Stroud put on an absolute clinic in that game. And I wouldn't mind if the same thing happened. I mean, this was rookie year against the Bucs. 71.4 completion percentage, 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. My score prediction for this Monday Night Football game, 28-17 to the Houston Texans. 28-17, I don't see a team scoring more than 20 points on the Houston Texans as of right now. I still believe in this secondary, this front seven as well. I think they can pull it out in week 2. So give me 28-17 Bucs. I see Terrence says 24-10 for the H's. Chris says 28-24. And Brendan, putting in your questions already. Appreciate that. To everybody out there in the chat, make sure, use that hashtag Texans if you want to get up on the program. Carson is saying 24-21 for our Houston Texans. And it's a Monday night opener. It's the home opener for the Houston Texans. So I hope they come out with more juice because a lot of people have been talking about the C.J. Stroud quote of lollygagging. He talked about we didn't have the best week of practice. Some guys lollygagging around here and there. I can't have that. I need these guys to come out with an absolute fire underneath their ass in this Monday Night Football game because we have, and I saw some people ripping him. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, after the first loss, said, hey, on to week 2, let's pack out NRG Stadium. And people were like, how about you win first? Okay, I agree. But at the same time, if we're demanding excellence from our team, if we want them to play at their best, we need to show up too. We need to pack the stadium. We need to give them a home field advantage. We need to get loud. Everybody in H-Town, if you're going to the game, get there early. Try to get loud. I know it's a Monday, and the schedule maker didn't really help us out with this, the fact that it's a 6 o'clock kickoff Central Time. Because they have a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. It's going to be Raiders-Chargers for the nightcap. So the Texans play at 6. Raiders and Chargers play at 9. I need NRG to be rocking for this team, and I really hope that they bounce back because maybe this is the kick in the butt that they needed. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's the AFC South. It's gonna be a cakewalk. It's gonna be super easy for this Texans team. They're already in the play." I mean, people were already saying, "Oh yeah, the Texans are already in the playoffs. No need to even play the games." No, this is the NFL. Each year is different. Each year is a new problem, a new task. And they need to step up to the plate. This Texans team, if they want people to show out, get up and get loud, give them something to cheer about. And I'm just hoping that, it's not a similar performance to that week 1 game up against the Rams because that was an ugly watch. I don't care if you were a Rams fan or a Texans fan watching that game. That might have been one of the worst games from week 1 where, the primetime games in week 1 were incredible. Thursday night, Eagles-Cowboys came down to the wire. Friday night, Chargers-Chiefs came down to the wire. Then you had Sunday Night Football, Bills and Ravens down to the wire. And then Monday Night Football as well was, Bears-Vikings, say what you will, that game was really good too. So I need this Texans team to show up, be there, be ready, because all eyes are going to be on our team in Houston. Now, we're getting ready to start our live show. obviously. We have 4 segments coming up. We have 115 people watching. Producer Lopez is in my ear saying, we need to get to 50 likes to start the live show. So if you haven't already, like the video. And you know what? Nobody has, sent in a super chat for our CJ Stroud Funko Pop yet. So this is what I'm going to do. Like the video and type H down in the comment section. I'm going to give 3 free tickets away for this CJ Stroud Funko Pop that I'm giving away at the end of today's program. 3 of them right now. All you got to do, like the video and type those H's down in the comment section. Brendan D'Souza, he's the first one I saw. He liked the video. He typed his H, so you're getting one of the tickets. And please, 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 if I'm giving you a ticket, try to be here at the end of the program because I'd like to give the CJ Stroud Funko Pop away. The winner on Sunday did not claim it. So I'd like for, somebody to be able to win it. Logan is spamming his H. So Logan, Grizel, you're getting one. And one more free ticket for the CJ Stroud Funko Pop. One more ticket is going to... You know what? Dominique says, I've never won anything. So Dominique, I'm going to put you in, see if you can win this one today. See if you can win this one today. Reminder, any super chat you send, every $1, you get another raffle ticket for this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. I'm going to give away at the end of today's program. It wasn't claimed on Sunday, and the person who won it never messaged me. So, reminder, if you win it today, you either better be here or follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs to claim your prize, because if not, I'm just putting this up in the studio at this point because I think it's really cool. I would want to claim a prize if I win it, but that's just me. So, let me know. Let me know. All right. We have smashed the 50 like number. Dominique says, give me one more ticket. Okay, Dominique. Hey.
You might get a Funko Pop.
Might get a Funko Pop. The Drunk Texan. Oh, that's a good question for the mailbag as well. The Drunk Texan, that's 2 entries for the Funko Pop. And reminder, if you want to double dip, if you send in $5, that's 5 raffle tickets for the Funko Pop and then 1 for the Nico Collins autograph picture. So if you want to maybe do a little double dip. Matt Flew, he said, why not? What the hell? What the hell? Okay, Matt. Hell yeah. 2 raffle tickets for my man, Matt Flew. Dominique, shout out to you, my good guy. And then the Drunk Texan. Should start Nico on my fantasy over Egbuka. I would say, who's your other wide receiver? Because I think they're going to force feed Nico. I like Emeka Egbuka, but I would start Nico over Emeka this week because I think they're going to try to force feed Nico after getting 3 catches in week 1. Emeka had a good performance. He had 2 touchdowns in week 1, but he's a rookie. So those guys, they fluctuate a ton. They kind of go up and down, up and down. So I would feel more comfortable going with Nico Collins over Emeka Egbuka in this week 2 matchup. That's just me, but you never know. And then my guy Matt Fluhey says, for the hell of it, all right, let's get it. 2 tickets for my guy, Mr. Matt Fluhey, popping in. Justin says, I want a Funko Pop. All right, hey, every $1 in Super Chats, you get an entry for this Funko Pop. And you know what? After this first segment, I'm going to give a couple more free tickets away for this Funko Pop. So, if you want to win, you can send in some money or stick around for after this segment because I'm going to give some more tickets away for that bad boy. Ron, you're the man, my guy. You're the man. Shout out to our mod, Ron Raspberry, a Chat Sports legend, absolutely holding it down. Justin, where do so where the comment section is, there's basically like a little kind of rectangle with a $1 symbol. You can click that. You can send in however much in Super Chats you would like. It's a little bit easier on your phone. I think you can do it on your – I saw you said you're watching on your TV. I think you can still do it on your TV. It might be easier to do it on your phone, though. So if you want to kind of double dip, do it on your phone as well, you can do that. But that's how you're able to send in money to the program, and we'd greatly appreciate it. None of the money goes back to me. It all goes here at Chat Sports so we can get more content out for you guys, so we can buy more equipment, get more lights, hire more producers so I can do more live shows. So every dollar that you spend, it goes back into helping Texans Today so we can get y'all some more content. The Drunk Texan said, I got Chase and Jefferson. How? Are you in a 4-person league? That's wild that you were able to get Jamar unless you're you're talking wide receiver. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson as the 1 and 2. That is that's a great wide receiver room, man. I mean, maybe not in week 1. I picked first overall, and I got Jamar Chase in my league, and he gave me like 3 points in week 1. So a little disappointing, but yeah, I mean, I think you are on the right track to win your league if you have Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
I hear you.
And you got Nico Collins. Dude, what league are you in, man?
I hear he also has Saquon as his running back.
Dude, your wide receivers are Nico Collins, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Emeka Egbuka. Unless you're in like some weird quarterback league where the quarterbacks get extra points, man, you committed highway robbery right there, dude. That is incredible that you were able to do that. All right, let's get into our first segment. I'm going to give you my keys to victory up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And as I promised, we're going to be doing another free option to get tickets for the Funko Pop raffle at the end of today's program. Oh, and the Drunken Texan, actually, that's reminding me, you just got a ticket for the Nico Collins raffle as well. The Drunken Texan. All righty. All right, here we go. Getting into our first segment of the day. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button. Over 120 people watching. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Let's get into our first segment, and then we're going to keep this show rocking and rolling. Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. I'm good. I thought you were about to push it. Yeah. Pause after the way into. I got you. Welcome into Texans Today. Today, I'm going to be giving you my keys to victory for the Texans home opener up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm ready. I'm ready to see this team finally show out, and I hope the Texans can bring some more juice than they did in week 1, because you cannot go into week 3 0-2. Before we get going in today's program, help me get to 34,000 subscribers. We have been building this channel year after year, and now we are at a good spot. I want to thank each and every one of you who's hit that sub button so far for daily Texans content, free live shows, and watch parties for every game. If that's something that interests you, if you want to be part of one of the best Texans communities here on YouTube, make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free. All right, coming up today is I got the keys to victory up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. Not going to be an easy matchup. Obviously, the Bucs, they won their division last year. Texans won the AFC South, so they play a first-place schedule, a la playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So let's talk first about maybe one of the biggest keys and something that all Texans fans are praying, are hoping happens on Monday Night Football, is that we see the CJ Stroud that we know we can see in week 2. Because week 1, very underwhelming. 70.4 completion percentage, not bad. 188 yards, no touchdowns. That one interception on the ball that he threw to Jaden Higgins, and the defensive back stole it away from him. But we need to see CJ Stroud get his swagger back, because we haven't seen it in a while. We saw it a little bit in the playoffs last year up against the Chargers, a little bit up against the Chiefs in the divisional round. But if we remember, maybe the best game of CJ Stroud's NFL career actually came against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in his rookie season. Look at these numbers. 71.4 completion percentage, 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he led a game-winning drive in the final minutes for the Texans to get that dub. I want to see that version of CJ Stroud on this Monday Night Football up against the Buccaneers. And for me, it's, a lot. Obviously, you want CJ Stroud to play a little bit better, but I think it's just the offense around him too. The offense needs to get the ball out quick. And by that, I mean, new OC Nick Caley needs to kind of design new plays, design kind of a way to get CJ Stroud, especially early on in the game, into a rhythm and take advantage of mismatches on the outside. Nico Collins, I don't think anybody that the Bucs have in their secondary matches up well against Nico Collins. I think there's a clear mismatch there, and depending on Christian Kirk's availability, maybe a Jalen Knoll in the slot, you can kind of get away with those guys on the hot routes, on those slant routes, and maybe getting some good yardage up the middle. I want to see CJ Stroud get the ball out a little bit quicker, not hold the ball in his hands, and I want him to be able to feel comfortable because I haven't seen him feel comfortable at all this year. I mean, really, a lot of last year he wasn't comfortable. Whenever he's comfortable, whenever he's playing good, we get a CJ Stroud that is a top 10 quarterback in the league. But so far, and especially with, the problems that the Texans have had on their offense, we've seen a CJ Stroud that's timid, that is, afraid to make mistakes, and that is really trying to do a lot to kind of compensate for the other mistakes along this Texans offense. Now, we didn't get a single touchdown in week 1 up against the LA Rams, so let me hear from you folks at home. How many touchdowns will the Texans score Monday Night Football up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Let me know down in the comment section. Is it going to be 1? Is it going to be 2? Is it going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bills in my bank account? In my bank account. Hopefully, we see 4 or 5 because we need to make up for that 0 touchdown game in week 1. I want to see some points on the board. Let me know, though, how many touchdowns do you think the Texans are going to score down in the comment section? All right, key to victory, numero dos. The O-line must pick up stunts. That was a problem last year. Week 1 didn't look that much better. And this was the supposed to be starting lineup going into week 1. And obviously, the injury to Ed Ingram totally shifted everything. Then you move Titus Howard in. Ariante Ursery had to flip to the right tackle spot. Cam Robinson then had to go to the left tackle spot. And my biggest gripe with that is Titus Howard's not a good guard. He's not. I mean, he's a serviceable guard, but he's a much better right tackle. And if I'm the Texans, I would rather keep Ursery at left tackle, keep Titus Howard at right tackle, and, hopefully Ed Ingram's good to go at that right guard spot. But if you don't feel comfortable putting Juice Scruggs in there at right guard, if you don't feel comfortable with the backup options in the interior offensive line, make a move, make a signing, do something, because why are we having somebody on our roster that's we don't feel comfortable putting out there, that we don't really want to see the field ever? That doesn't make any sense. So let's try to find a different option for our guard spots. We have Laken Tomlinson at the left guard, but once Ed Ingram went out, it was very obvious what the Texans wanted to do. They wanted to make sure Juice Scruggs and Blake Fisher did not hit the field. And with a dangerous front seven for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, it's going to be quite the struggle. They run a 3-4 front. They have the big man Vita Vea, a budding superstar in Kalijah Kancey, and then 2 good edge rushers in Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby. So I really need this offensive line to step their game up because this Buccaneers front seven is no joke. They're really not. They need to really gear up and get ready because if they thought the Rams front seven was good last week, I don't think you're getting that much of a drop-off going up against the Bucs here in week 2. Number 3, I wore this shirt today for a reason. Let 12 eat. Nico Collins, 3 receptions for your wide receiver 1 in week 1. That's not going to do it. 3 receptions for 25 yards, and he was only targeted 5 times. The route tree was ridiculous. Whenever you put Nico Collins' route tree week 1 and then you look at Puka Nacua, his route tree in week 1, that's what I want to see. They were force-feeding Puka Nacua, and it was working time and time again. And I don't know if they were just trying to develop too many routes down the field and CJ Stroud didn't have time to get it to Nico Collins, but at the same time, Nick Caley, you're a creative OC. We brought you in to help mitigate some of these offensive problems, and I didn't see a lot of that kind of tinkering. I didn't see a lot of those adjustments from the first-time offensive coordinator. And as I look at this Texans wide receiver depth chart, obviously it was a little bit of a blow that Christian Kirk wasn't able to go in week 1 because I thought, he had a great chemistry with Stroud in the preseason training camp. Also, Braxton Berrios not being able to go, so that kind of affected what you wanted to do in the slot here and there. But regardless, your wide receiver one kind of got shut out. You can't let that happen, especially when you didn't have that strong of a run game either. It would make more sense if, Nick Chubb and everybody combined for over 100 yards rushing, but that wasn't working either. So this Texans offense on multiple fronts just was not cooking at all up against the LA Rams in week 1. So we really, really need to see Nico Collins and especially CJ Stroud and him and new OC Nick Caley find a way to take advantage of the mismatch of Nico Collins up against this Buccaneers secondary for Monday Night Football. I want to see what they got cooking. Now, coming up, keys to victory on the defensive side of the football. How is this Texans defense going to swarm Baker Mayfield? I'll tell you that in just a moment. But today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Get started today with America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. I love it. Producer Lopez loves it, and I know you will too. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And I want to make a decision with you right now. Y'all want to play Prize Picks right now? Let's do it. Let's do it. I actually have Nico Collins, his receiving yards this week. It's the weigh-in for you. His receiving yards this week. It's at 74.5. That's his projection for the Bucs. So, let's play a little Prize Picks. More or less than 74.5 receiving yards up against the Buccaneers. Give me the more. Come on. If we want to win week 2, we got to get more on this right here. And if you want to do projections just like this, make your own lineup, well, go ahead and download the Prize Picks app right now, because I'm telling you this, Prize Picks, they put their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in to win up to 2,000 times your money today. Like I said, just got to, kind of like we did with the Nico Collins, this is my lineup for Monday. Bucky Irving, less rushing yards. CJ Stroud, give me the more on the passing touchdowns. Riley Dixon, more on the Buccaneers punts, and then less on the Texans punts with Tommy Townsend. You can use my lineup or make your own. Just do it over at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right. Let's go to the defensive side of the football and look at what the Texans could do. You got to blitz Baker Mayfield often. I was talking to our one of our Falcons guys here at Chat Sports. Obviously, they played the Bucs in week 1, and he said the one thing from that game, the one takeaway, is he said you have to get after Baker Mayfield. 3 touchdowns that he threw, completion percentage of 53.1%, 167 yards, and yes, he's a veteran. He was kind of clutch towards the end of that game. But he was not good versus the blitz. In week 1 against the Falcons, he was 0 of 6 going into the fourth quarter when pressured up against the blitz. So if the Texans are able to get pressure, especially if they're able to get that pressure with 4 guys, with Will Anderson, with Danielle Hunter, with Sheldon Rankins, Mario Edwards, sprinkle in some Derek Barnett and Darrell Taylor as well. If they're able to do that and make him uncomfortable, the back end, the secondary, if they're able to hold up, this Texans defense can stop this Bucs offense. I really think if they're able to get after Baker Mayfield, obviously, he's been in the league for a long time, and he's a veteran. He's resilient. You need to get him down when you get your hands on him and not let him settle in, especially late in the game, because that's kind of what happened up against the Falcons in week 1. He was struggling going into the third quarter, and then he pops off, throws 2 touchdowns, and the Bucs win the game. The Texans need to consistently get pressure on him, not let him get comfortable, and even going into the fourth quarter, you got to make him feel you and get him on the ground. Lastly, and it was funny, we're recording this live for our Wednesday live show on September 10th, and I actually got a question about, should I start Emeka Egbuka or Nico Collins in fantasy? I said Nico Collins because I want the Texans to put Derek Stingley on Emeka Egbuka. I know the Buccaneers have Mike Evans, and he's great. 11 straight 1,000-yard receivers. In my opinion, he's a future Hall of Famer, the former Galvestonian, my guy from G-Town, Mike Evans. But Emeka Egbuka is electric. He's looked awesome. So I think Stingley might match up better against Egbuka, and I actually think Lassiter matches up a little bit better to the hyper-aggressive Mike Evans, 6'5", 231 pounds. I think that is the way you should do it. And I know they usually are like, oh, Sting stays on one side and this guy stays on the other. I don't care if Emeka Egbuka is in the slot. I don't care if he's outside. I don't care if he's lined up 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I want to see Derek Stingley wherever Emeka Egbuka is. I want him to follow him around. Because, yes, Jalen Beatrice is good, but he should not be guarding the other team's best receiver in a game-time decision type of play. And that's what happened in week 1. He was up against Puka Nacua in that third down that sealed it for the LA Rams. I want our best on their best. So give me Derek Stingley up against Emeka Egbuka wherever he is. Follow him around and make him where he is not open. Cover him like white on rice. I want to see Derek Stingley, number 24, wherever Emeka Egbuka is. And that's how I think this Texans defense is going to be able to beat this Bucs offense on Monday Night Football. So in conclusion, the defense has another tough task with the opposing wide receivers. Obviously, I just mentioned you have Mike Evans, you have Emeka Egbuka, and that's not even mentioning he's not playing this week, but they also have Chris Godwin coming back from injury. So maybe thankfully the Texans don't play them later on in the season. It boils down to, though, this offense needs to put points on the board. You are not going to win games if you put up 9 points each week. I don't care how good your defense is. It's just not going to happen. So I want this team to be more aggressive. I want this team to show us more life, more juice, because it's the home opener and it's prime time football in H-Town. And if that doesn't get you jazzed up, if that doesn't give you goosebumps, well, then wake the hell up, because Texans football is here. We need to get loud, we need to cheer, and we need to hopefully get a dub on Monday Night Football up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers like our life depends on it, because it kind of does. Going into week 3, you can't be 0-2. If you made it to the end of today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, giving you Texans videos all year long. We'll also be live for that Monday Night Football game up against the Buccaneers. So don't miss a thing. It's 100% free. Go down and hit that subscribe button. There we go. One segment down. One segment down. Let's go. We actually got another super chat from the Drunken Texan. Let's go. Here we go. The Drunken Texan. No way. You're in a 10-man league? That, I don't know, but literally got chased because my friend wanted a cheeseburger, so we... Dude. That is, Jamar, I would make that trade every day of the week. Jamar Chase for a cheeseburger? Oh, yeah. Drunken Texan, where was the cheeseburger from? Let me know. I want to know, where was the cheeseburger from? Let me know, the Drunken Texan. If you could, though, let me know down in the comment section, what is your key to victory? Champs Burger. Champs Burger. Oh, okay.
Do they look...
Looks like a Houston establishment Champs Burger. Dude, that look kind of gas.
Would you trade Jamar Chase for one of their burgers?
I probably would not. Pretty decent menu price. $7 for a cheeseburger. That's not too bad.
Friend got ripped off.
Little mushroom and Swiss for $8.79.
Ooh.
Not bad. Not too bad. All right. Let me know down below in the comment section your biggest key to victory up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we're going to get going on this next segment in just a moment. Reminder, every dollar you spend on today's show gives you a raffle ticket for this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. It was not claimed from our live show on Sunday, so we're giving that bad boy away today. We already gave away. Oh, and I did promise some free tickets after the first segment. I did promise some free tickets after the first segment, and we also have our month-long raffle. I think I need some white gloves whenever I pull this thing out. It is a Nico Collins autographed picture right here. This would look great in your man cave, in your garage, where maybe at your desk at work. JSA certified from Fanatics right here. This Nico Collins signed or autographed picture. So $5 if you want to enter this. We're going to do this at the end of the month. We're giving this away today. End of the month today. End of the month today. So if you want a chance to win either of those items, you can super chat. But as I mentioned, I'm going to give a couple people a chance to win that Funko Pop today. So this is what I'm going to do. I want anybody, you can either be following me or maybe you can just follow me now. DM me CJ on X. First follow me and then DM me CJ on X. Anybody who does that right now, I'm giving you a free entry into this Funko Pop raffle. So if you want a chance to win it, all you got to do on Twitter, go follow me at Jeremy Chuggs and DM me CJ if you want a free raffle ticket to win this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. Pretty easy. I told y'all I'm going to give away some free chances to win this bad boy. So if you want a chance to win right now, just DM me CJ. Make sure you follow me first, if you could. And then, obviously, if you win it, it's easier for me to get your contact information, be able to send you this bad boy if we're, following each other on Twitter. So, if you could, give me a follow, DM me CJ if you want a chance to win that bad boy. I put my X link down in the comments section. So, if you want a chance to win that, I'll be looking right now. If anybody wants a chance to win that CJ Stroud. I saw Luis. Let's go. You got to be following me, though. Luis, are you following me? Yes. Luis, period. There we go. Luis got a free raffle ticket. Who else wants one? Here we go. Derek Peterson, JC, great job. Hey, appreciate you for tuning in, Mr. Peterson. Marcus Minner, I told y'all we needed 19 O-linemen to make the roster. Yeah, the live poll, I actually asked, biggest worry going into week 2. 72% say the Texans' offensive line, 14% say the Texans' injuries, 11% say C.J. Stroud's play, and 2% says the Texans' defense. I kind of added that just as like a fourth option. I didn't think anybody would pick that. The 2% that chose Texans defense, though. Really? That's your biggest worry? Okay. Let's see. We got Sailor Katori 5. You just got a free Funko Pop raffle ticket. All you have to do is follow me and DM me CJ. See, it's not that hard. There we go. All right. I'll allow, people to get in through that way throughout the show. So if you want a free CJ Stroud Funko Pop raffle ticket, give me a follow on X and DM me CJ so I know you're watching and I know you want in on the raffle. That way you're able to get in. So, all right, we're going to get into our next segment here on Texans Today as I get my script ready. We're going to be going over the latest Texans rumors. We're going to be talking about it's a lot of stuff that I've heard around, Facebook, Twitter, online, just, some of these online forums of can you change a 5 to a 10 because I have a 10 on here and a 5 on sure. I'll change it to Sailor Katori 10. There we go. I've been seeing a lot of people hating on our QB1. And before we get into this, I want to know, how do you feel about CJ Stroud right now? Give me one word on how you feel about CJ Stroud right now before we get started, because I've seen so much hate around the franchise, around C.J. Stroud, our guy. And, it's kind of grinds my gears a little bit because I do think C.J. Stroud is a good quarterback. I think he's a young quarterback. He's still under 25 years old. So I get everybody wants him to be the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. The reality is those guys are, they don't grow on trees. But when you have a really good quarterback like a C.J. Stroud, I think you got to see what you have in him. And I think a lot of people are quick to kind of jump off the ship after, some bad games, maybe a down year for the Texans offense last year. But we got to remember, C.J. Stroud, first 2 years, 2 playoff wins. How many quarterbacks can say that? Their first 2 years, 2 playoff wins. I'll say that. I get that there's, valid reasoning on either side. C.J. Stroud's not perfect. He's not the best quarterback in the league, and there is room for improvement, and you can criticize him. But I just think he's a good quarterback, and us just piling on and kind of pushing him down and pushing him away, that's not going to make him a better player. That's just my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But let me know down in the comment section how you feel about C.J. Stroud, because he's actually going to be one of the first topics I talk about here in this Rumors video. Lopez, we good to go? All right, let's talk about our guy C.J. Stroud and the latest rumors around your Houston Texans. Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and we've got a packed show on tap for you today with some of the top Texans storylines going on around the Twitterverse, around, Facebook, online, all these online forums. This is a lot of the stuff that I've been hearing. First off, is it put up or shut up time for C.J. Stroud? Is his honeymoon phase over with the Houston Texans? Number 2, is Nick Caserio, our GM, setting up for a big trade? Possibly. And then lastly, is the Rams game the wake-up call this team needed? We'll talk about all this on today's program, but don't jinx it. If you want the Texans to get their first win of the season on Monday Night Football, go down and like the video. Hey, you don't want to be that guy after the game on Tuesday being like, damn, what if I liked the video? All I had to do was hit that thumbs up icon that weird guy on YouTube told me to do. Maybe they would have won. You'll never know. But I do know when you put good energy out, you get good energy back. So let's put the good energy out for our Houston Texans. Go out and hit that thumbs up icon. Like the video for a dub in week 2. Now, if you're new to the program, this is how we kind of break down a lot of the rumors and stories that we talk about on Texans Today. I use my Toro Heads rumor meter. So if I give something 0 heads or fake news, that means it's not happening. It's total BS. If I give something 4 Toro heads, well, H-Town, hold it down. It is going down. And then obviously in between, it's kind of that meter that you see from 1, 2, 3, and 4 Toro heads. So let's get started today with our first story on tap. Is it put up or shut up time for C.J. Stroud? I'm only going to give this one Toro head. I do think he does need to look in the mirror a little bit and say, hey, what do I need to do to get myself better? And not only myself, but my teammates around him better. Because if you've been on X, if you've been on, Facebook, Instagram, anything over the past, I would say week, especially after the Rams game, you've probably been seeing a lot of this. DJ Bieniemy, the ESPN reporter for the Houston Texans, he said this: is C.J. Stroud losing the benefit of the doubt from this fan base? And then Will Kunkel, another guy who covers Houston sports, he replied, yes, it's time for results. Not to that tweet, but it was a tweet kind of referencing, is the C.J. Stroud honeymoon phase over? Is it time for him to pay the piper? So you see a lot of people coming out saying, C.J. Stroud, it's put up or shut up time. We're done with it. Now, I think 2 things can be true. I think Stroud needs to take control of this offense, be a leader, be a little bit better. But also, it's a brand new offensive coordinator. You have basically, 4 new starting offensive linemen up front. And it's tough. It's not going to be a instant fix. Things are getting going. Everything's going to be fixed and we're all, fine and dandy. I had Cecil Shorts III, a former Texans player, on the show over the summer, and we had a really good conversation. I messaged with him back and forth from time to time, And I really liked what he tweeted after that Texans game. He said this: the offense takes time. New OC, new system. They all are learning. Everything will not be fixed with the Texans offense right away. Give it time before you all claim anything. Having no patience at all is crazy. If the offense is like this midseason, I get it. But give it time. Offense needs more work, but it's not panic time. Relax, Texans fans. The offense needs its rhythm. And I agree with that. The offense, it's going to take a little bit of time, and maybe, they are going to have some growing pains with so many new moving parts. But also, to blame C.J. Stroud for all of this is kind of ludicrous. Because when you look at the numbers a little bit deeply, and another great follow on Texans Twitter is at Texans Jacob. I really recommend that you give him a follow over there on X. I think these stats show a lot of what C.J. Stroud did really well in that Week 1 game up against the Rams. 85.2% catchable throws. That's second best amongst quarterbacks in the NFL. 11.1 off-target throw rate, seventh best. 7.4 hero play rate, sixth best. I don't really know that stat as well, so I guess that's good. And then 0.0 turnover-worthy play percentage. I don't really get that as much because he did throw one interception, but it was a catch by Jaden Higgins that was then taken away by the Rams defender. So I really do think, regardless of what you think around C.J. Stroud, he also handled the pressure very well. 42% pressure rate in Week 1 for C.J. Stroud. And he actually did pretty well against the pressure. He had a couple sacks that he took, but besides that, was not bad. He threw a lot of really good balls whenever he was getting pressure right up in his face. Didn't have a lot of time. Maybe he held on to the ball a little too long. But I still believe in C.J. Stroud. I believe in our quarterback, the franchise, the wheeling, dealing, gun-slinging guy wearing number 7 for your Houston Texans. I believe in C.J. Stroud. And I will say this. I get people have their doubts. I get people have their criticisms. And, you'll say, whatever he did off the field. And we don't like his demeanor. We don't like this and that about C.J. Stroud. At the end of the day, he's a talented quarterback. And I guarantee you, over half the league right now would give a ransom, a king's bounty to trade for this guy right here. I know that for a fact because I've had multiple other fans reach out to me and say, if the Texans don't want him, we will trade for C.J. Stroud right now. And I think Texans fans are quick to forget that lull between Deshaun Watson and C.J. Stroud and how bad that was being a Texans fan for those 3-4 years. We had guys that were just awful. Just awful. I mean, Davis Mills, he's not a horrible quarterback, but he's not a great starter. We've seen guys, and before Deshaun Watson too, we saw guys like Brian Hoyer, for God's sake, Tom Savage. We've had some bad quarterbacks for this Houston Texans franchise, and C.J. Stroud is not one of them. So I'll ask you folks this right now. Do you believe in C.J. Stroud as our franchise quarterback? Simple question. It's a yes or no. Give me a yes. Give me a no. Do you believe in C.J. Stroud? He's the franchise guy. You feel comfortable with this team giving him a contract extension next offseason? Let me know down in the comments. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, all good. Scroll on down and give me your answer. Next up, Nick Caserio. Is he setting up for a big trade? We'll talk about this in just a moment. But first, a word from our sponsor, Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. I love Prize Picks. Hey, look at this. Even Drewski, he loves Prize Picks as well, and I know you will too. Get started today with our sponsor. You and I make decisions every day. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Super simple. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. And this is my lineup that I have rolling in for Monday night. Bucky Irving. Give me the less on his rushing yards. I think this Texans defense is going to swarm C.J. Stroud, hopefully. Like I said, I believe in him as the franchise. Hopefully, he can get more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Riley Dixon, the Bucs punter, I'm hoping he gets more than 3.5 punts. And Tommy Townsend, the Texans punter, I hope he gets less than 3.5 punts. You can use this lineup or go make your own. Just do it over with our friends over at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's talk about this. Could Nick Caserio be setting up for a trade? I'm actually going to give this one 2 Toro heads, and I'm saying people are talking. I think it's somewhat likely that we could see another trade for this Texans team. And you're probably wondering, Chuggs, what in the world are you even talking about? All right, stick with me here. First, let's talk about the news. Houston Texans and Tommy Togiai agree to a 1-year extension worth up to $3.3 million. And you're probably wondering, okay, Jeremy, what does this have to do with the Texans if they're extending Tommy Togiai? What does this have to do with, anything around them trading anybody? Well, very interesting. Tommy Togiai was a healthy scratch for the Texans in week 1. One of the Texans inactives. Did not play. So you're telling me a guy that is the 5th defensive tackle on our team did not play. I know he's young. He's 25 years old. They're going to give that guy an extension? Doesn't quite add up to me. And whenever I look at this Texans defensive line, we have a lot of talent. We are flooded with talent along this Texans front. Not only at defensive end, but defensive tackle as well. There's a lot of solid guys. Mario Edwards Jr., Sheldon Rankins, Tim Settle, Foley Futakasi, Tommy Togiai, who just got that extension. And then, we also have DeMeco Autry on IR, who could be coming or should be coming back after week 4. The Texans have a ton of talent along the defensive line. And some expiring contracts as well. Foley Futakasi is only on a 1-year deal. Sheldon Rankins only on a 1-year deal. Tim Settle Jr., somebody who maybe should have gotten an extension over Tommy Togiai after how he played last year. He's on the final year of his deal as well. So as I look at, the Texans, could they kind of set themselves up to use one of these defensive tackles as a trade piece as we get closer to the NFL trade deadline? And as I'm looking at my Texans' top needs on their team, there's 3 glaring ones right here. You need offensive line help. Secondly, you need offensive line help. And then lastly, I would say that you probably need some offensive line help. So could they at some point say, hey, anybody who has a good interior defensive lineman or good interior offensive lineman and needs D-line help, maybe we get a little swap there. We can send maybe one of these 3 guys that I'm going to show you on screen right now, possibly to get some interior offensive line help. Out of these 3 guys, though, let me know. Who do you think is the most likely to get traded? Because all these guys, like I said, on 1-year contracts. Do you think it's Tim Settle Jr., DeMeco Autry, or Foley Futakasi? Let me know down in the comment section, because that was the first thing that came to my mind after the extension for Tommy Togiai is, how does this kind of work with what the Texans' plan is moving forward? All right, lastly, Rams, that game, week 1. Is that the wake-up call that this team needed? I'm going to give this one 4 Toro heads. H-Town, hold it down, because I for one, I'm tired of the Texans kind of viewed as a cakewalk. Everybody says, oh, well, the Texans have the easiest division. Oh, well, the Texans, they play in the AFC South, so of course they're going to win the division. And I don't know this for a fact, but the way they played on Sunday in week 1 up against the Rams, it makes me think that a lot of that, thought, a lot of that talk is seeping into this locker room. Because you put up a absolute just horrible game. 9 points on offense. The Rams, I know the defense only allowed 14 points. It was an ugly game. But the Rams, they were driving at the end of the game. And the offense for the Rams looked like it was a lot easier moving on the Texans defense than the Texans offense moving on the Rams defense. And whenever I show you these numbers for the Texans offense in week 1, ugly. Absolutely ugly. 164 total yards, 23 carries for 78 yards, 2 turnovers, and that time of possession, 29.07, which actually I do think it's only 1 interception there. Maybe a little miscalculation from our graphic system right there, but it's all good. Because the bottom line is this. Two teams in the AFC South, they won in week 1. The Colts absolutely put it on the Miami Dolphins, and then the Jacksonville Jaguars beat down on the Carolina Panthers. So you're looking at this Texans team, you're suddenly at the bottom of your division. I know it's only week 1, but the Texans can't have the mindset that it's going to be a cakewalk this year because, 1, you won the division 2 years in a row. Those other 3 teams are hungry. And then 2, you're playing a first-place schedule. So you're going to play tougher competition throughout the entire season. So you can't have that mindset that, oh, it's going to be easy. Oh, we'll be able to do this, that, or the other. And, just kind of easily get into the playoffs. This is the NFL. Nothing comes easy. And that starts right now with this Week 2 matchup. We will be live for Week 2 up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll be live an hour before kickoff. So make sure to join us here on the channel. Hit that subscribe button and join us for our Week 2 watch party as the Texans take on the Bucs on Monday Night Football. All right, let me know down in the comments section, how long have you been a Texans fan? Let me know down below, how long have you been a Texans fan? I'm wanting to know down in the comment section. As I am checking. Here we go. I do have some more people getting in for that CJ Stroud raffle. I see legit disc golf. I see Dricka. Here we go. Hold on. Let's see. Let me get it up. We got Dricka Farrow. I've got legit disc golf. And let's see. GGFG08. All right. GGFG08. Good luck to all of y'all, and I will continue to give that deal. If you want a chance to win a CJ Stroud Funko Pop, any Super Chat equals a raffle ticket. Every dollar that you spend is a raffle ticket. But also, I gave the deal earlier. If you follow me on X and you DM me CJ, I'll give you a free ticket as well. So we have a decent little group here for this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. Also, I don't want to be remiss about this. Ooh, clean. Nico Collins signed autographed picture. Every $5, you get another raffle ticket to this bad boy. We're going to do this at the end of the month, though, but JSA certified from Fanatics. So dope. I kind of want this for myself. I think I might at some point, maybe for the holidays, get me one of these for my office.
I thought you were going to say you're going to make a burner and give yourself a super chat.
Dude, maybe, bro. Maybe. And a reminder, we are going to have a mailbag coming up in just a little bit. So if you want to get on the program, use hashtag Texans Super Chat to get on the show. We'll be able to get you up there and help you out and, answer whatever questions you have. Or if you have any, just comments on the game, any thoughts that you have around this Texans team, make sure hashtag Texans and then send in whatever comment you would like to get on the program. Marcus said, I've been a fan since the Oilers. 07 from Bubba Eats. Ryan Draper says 2002. Rashawn Carroll says 2002. Derek Peterson says since day one. Let me know, how long have you been a Texans fan down in the comments section? A lot of people. Kyle PSI says 2015 or 2016 since I've been a Texans fan. AJ said 2014-ish. Brendan says 2007. I would say my first kind of like bringing in of being a big part of the a Texans fan base and being a Texans fan. My first game I ever went to with my stepdad, it was awesome. But it was awesome until it wasn't. It was the Sage Rosenfels helicopter game. It was crazy. It was 2008. Yeah. 2008 was the first game I went to, and how old was I in 2008? I was 12. I was 12. And 2002 helped with the logo. Who's the real? That's awesome. Dude, hell yeah. Yeah, 2008 was my first Texans game. It was the Sage Rosenfels helicopter game up against the Indianapolis Colts. I was sitting behind the Colts bench, and I was absolutely giving it to Peyton Manning the entire game. Little 12-year-old Jeremy was calling him a bum for 48 straight minutes. It was a lot of fun. It was one of the most fun games I've ever been to until it wasn't. But let me know, though, when you first were a Texans fan. Christopher Graves says, since first game ever against Dallas. Yeah, first game ever in Texans franchise history. Played the Dallas Cowboys, got the dub. Not a lot changing. Last game I went to was the Chargers from Derek Peterson. Hey, there we go. My first Texans game at Houston is 2023 Steelers versus Texans. 2023 Steelers versus Texans. Let's see how that game went out for Texans versus Steelers 2023. 30-6 dub. Oh, was that the CJ Stroud rookie year with the red jerseys? I remember we absolutely hammered the Steelers CJ Stroud's rookie year. I think that was that game. Dude, great first game to go to, Kyle. On the 24 RIWs up ties. Here we go. All right, so we have one more segment, and then we have our mailbag to get to. I was there when J.J. Watt retired his number at halftime. Hey, good stuff. Oh, you know what? For this next one, I forgot. That's the one thing I forgot to do. I forgot to move over the Fanatics, so I'm gonna do that. It's okay. That should be easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'm moving it over right now. The Drunken Texan. What did I miss? I just talked about some of the latest rumors around the Houston Texans. You could probably go back a little bit, but also every segment that I do during my live show, I put out at a later date. So if you're joining live, you kind of get the info before other people do. Good stuff. But next, we're going to talk about one glaring weakness that this Texans team has and why I'm really worried for Monday Night Football with maybe the biggest weakness on this Texans team. If you're a Texans fan, you probably already know what I'm talking about, but it's one that they're going to have to that all looked good. It's one that they're going to have to really figure out. Marcus Minner, how long have I been a Jeremy Chuggs fan? It's a good question. How long have you been a Jeremy Chuggs fan? Since day one. Since birth. For 5 years now. Hey, Marcus, absolute real one. I appreciate you, man. Sailor, it has to do with the offensive line. 100% it does. 100% it does. All right, we're going to get into this segment, and then we have one more. It's our mailbag at the end of the show, and then we're going to hop out of here. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Coming up next, one glaring weakness around this Texans team that could definitely get exploited on Monday Night Football. Coming up, one glaring weakness on this Texans team that could be exploited Monday Night Football up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs. This is Texans Today. Texans content all year long, and we will be live for the Week 2 matchup. Texans home opener up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So make sure you're watching. Make sure you're there. I know the Texans, they lost their Week 1 matchup. The Bucs, they won Week 1 up against the Atlanta Falcons. But this is the time. Get on the right track. Be there, and let's get a dub for our home opener at NRG. We'll be live an hour before kickoff right here on the channel. So make sure to subscribe and join us. Type me if you're going to tune in to our Week 2 stream. Texans versus Bucs. I hope to see you all there. We have some giveaways, prizes, a lot of fun. So hopefully you're there. Hopefully you're able to make it and join the party and have a great time cheering on our Houston Texans. Now, coming up, the Texans' glaring weakness. It's the interior O-line and picking up stunts. That is the biggest weakness that this Texans team has. And unfortunately for us, the interior of our offensive line is going to have to go up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, it got a little bit more tricky in Week 1 because Ed Ingram, he did not play in Week 1. He was a late scratch on Sunday, making this absolute offensive line shuffle where Titus Howard moved in, Ursary moved to the right, Cam Robinson, then your left tackle, Jake Andrews, now injured, listed day-to-day. The center who played around 70% of the snaps for this Texans offense in week 1 will not play, or I'm not going to say will not play, but unlikely to play in week 2. I mean, he was trying to walk off the field and he got carted to the locker room in week 1. So the likelihood that we see Jake Andrews out there in week 2, I would say very, very low. So that means the expected center to start is Jarrett Patterson. And I like Jarrett Patterson. I think he's good, but maybe his biggest weakness and the reason why the Texans don't feel comfortable with him being the solidified starter for this franchise is against bigger guys, he kind of gets bullied around a little bit. And that is just awful news for this Texans team with their opponent this week in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because the Bucs have one of the strongest defensive linemen, not just figuratively, actually physically, one of the strongest defensive lines in the NFL. And I think if the Texans don't, fix a couple of things up front and Nick Caley doesn't scheme around it, they could definitely get bullied up against the Bucs on Monday night. The biggest problem in my eyes, it's going to be this guy right here, Vita Vea, 6'4", 347 pounds. He might have, depending on what he eats that morning, a 50-pound weight advantage over Jarrett Patterson. So that's going to be a major problem for this Texans offensive line, especially if you're trying to run anywhere between the tackles. He's going to be a big problem. And then when you're not blocking him, you're blocking a budding star in Kalijah Kancey, who moves all over the Bucs defensive line. 7.5 sacks last year in his rookie season. He was great. So the Texans have two really good defensive linemen who kind of move all over different fronts. Vita Vea more lined up against the center, maybe over the guards a little bit. Kalijah Kancey sometimes lines up at defensive end, sometimes lines up over the guard in that 3 technique. Both those guys I'm really worried about. I'm very, very worried about. And coming up, I have 3 ways the Texans can mitigate this problem, because that's the biggest issue right now. If I'm looking at this game in a vacuum and I'm saying, what's one thing that I think the Texans need to do to win this ball game? It's on offense, take care of those big guys up front and make sure CJ Stroud isn't on his backside, because those guys are very, very scary. Now, I'll tell you what those 3 things are that they can do to kind of fix that coming up in just a moment, but Texans items on sale right now. Go get them while the getting's good. Go to chatsports.com/Texans sale. All the items you're seeing right here are on sale for a limited time. Once they sell out, that's it. So go get them while the getting's good. It's chatsports.com/Texans sale. Some of these items 60, 50, 60, 75% off over on the website. So get it right now. I'll put this link in the comment section and description of today's video. If you want to get some cool Texans gear for the season, maybe get it in time for the holidays, maybe somebody's birthday. If you have a big Texans fan in your life, go check it out right now. This link right here, chatsports.com/Texans sale. All right, here's some ways to mitigate the interior offensive line problem for your Houston Texans. One, it starts with the quarterback. CJ Stroud needs to get the ball out quick. He can't hold on to the ball, because even though he can make throws under pressure, and even though he was pretty good in week 1 up against the LA Rams whenever he was pressured, it's probably not your best idea whenever your quarterback is on his backside. Even if he's completing those balls, you don't want to see that happen. So CJ Stroud, Nick Caley, they've got to kind of scheme stuff up to where he gets the ball out of his hands quick. Maybe more wide receiver screens. Maybe more quick routes over the middle. Maybe, more up-tempo for them. And that's kind of going in to my second way to mitigate this. Texans need to run more up-tempo. As I mentioned, Vita Vea, he's a big, big boy. And how do you mitigate that? With speed. And that's something that the Texans weren't able to do very much in that week 1 game up against the Rams. It's not even going up tempo. They were breaking the huddle with, 12, 13, 11 seconds left on the play clock, where you don't even have time to really read the defense. And DeMeco Ryans pointed this out in his post-game press conferences and press conferences this week as something that the offense needs to fix. This is coming from @TexansJacob on Twitter. Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans says he thought there were issues with the Texans' tempo on offense, getting in and out of the huddle quick enough to make checks and different things at the line of scrimmage. He took responsibility and says that they will get fixed. I don't know how it's his responsibility when Nick Caley's the one calling the plays, but I guess he's the man in charge, so it all boils back down to DeMeco Ryans. But I completely agree. If you're the Texans, you need to get up to the line. You need to have your advantage be your speed. Getting up to the line, even if it's not going no huddle, but still, getting up to the line with maybe 20 seconds left, close to that on the play clock, that allows CJ Stroud to see the defense, analyze what's going on, and maybe point out protections, because there were multiple times up against the Rams where he wasn't even able to point out the blitzer and just a free guy right on CJ Stroud. I can remember one time the Texans were driving. I believe it was their first field goal of the game. They were driving and then, got sacked. Another field goal attempt that they had. Maybe their second field goal attempt. They were even closer and they got sacked. So those things can be mitigated if you're able to read the defense and kind of help out your offensive linemen and say, hey, you need to, focus on this side. You need to focus on this blitzer. Maybe your running back in the backfield kind of IDs the blitzer as well and make sure that's picked up so CJ Stroud is able to deliver those balls down the field. And then the last way to mitigate this interior offensive line problem, screens and running through the air. And what do I mean by running through the air? It's, those pop passes where the running back motions out and then quick snap and then throw out there, right? Or quick wide receiver screens or, where it's a pass play, but the first option is actually the running back in the flat if, nobody's guarding him. Screens as well. If you're able to kind of get the defensive line trying to come after CJ Stroud, he dumps it off to a running back, and then he's able to go with a couple blockers ahead of him. And that's why I think somebody that needs to be used more in week 2, and especially up against the Buccaneers, is running back Woody Marks. They drafted him in round 4. They traded up to get the running back out of USC because of his pass-catching ability. Only 3 carries, 3 yards in week 1. Didn't get a ton of usage. And at the end of the game, when the game was on the line, they put in Dare Ogunbowale. I want to see more Woody Marks up against the Bucs because I think his skill set is really going to help this Texans offense move the ball up against Tampa Bay and get the ball out of C.J. Stroud's hands and kind of mitigate some of that pressure that they might get from this Bucs front 7. And as we look at this Texans running back depth chart, you saw Nick Chubb. He did pretty good in week 1. 60 rushing yards, 4.6 yards per carry. Dameon Pierce didn't give me a lot. Dare Ogunbowale obviously had the fumble at the end of the game. And then Woody Marks. We didn't see a lot of the rookie. I want to see more Woody Marks in week 2, and I want to see him get the ball maybe a little bit out of the backfield, maybe a couple of screen passes to him. I think that could really help this Texans offensive line against a very scary front 7 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, if you made it to the end of today's video, you're an absolute real one. Spam those H's down in the comment section. I appreciate each and every one of you who clicked into today's video. Reminder, I'll be live Monday Night Football 1 hour before kickoff. Texans versus Bucs. Be there or be square. All right, here we go. Last segment on tap. Your chance to get on the show. Hashtag Texans, or you can super chat if you want a chance at that CJ Stroud Funko Pop. And if you want to get your message up on screen. I saw Jonathan Mercado, another guy who just got in to the CJ Stroud Funko Pop. Let's see, Jonathan Mercado. There you go. Yeah, we're going to spin the wheel at the very end of the stream. So, if you want a chance to win that bad boy, you can either super chat or you follow me on X and DM me CJ to get a chance to win that bad boy. As I said, the Funko Pop, we're giving this out because it wasn't claimed on Sunday, and I want it to go to somebody who's going to enjoy it. So, hopefully, if you're in it, you're able to win this bad boy today. And then every $5 you spend in the month of September, we're giving away a Nico Collins autographed picture, JSA certified from Fanatics. Every $5 you spend is another raffle ticket. So if you want a chance to win this bad boy too, well, there you go. There you go. As we, there we go. Okay. As we're getting ready for this last segment, quick reminder, hashtag Texans or Super Chat to get up on the program if you want a chance to, voice your opinion. And if you want your words on the show, maybe your thoughts, let me know. Dominique says, Houston, we're here. I made it. Hell yeah. Nelson, Nelson Tang's World. I like your question. Use hashtag Texans in your question to get featured on the show. You got to use hashtag Texans just like Kyle PSI did. That's a great question too, Kyle. Once Lopez tells me that we have enough questions on tap, then we'll go ahead and start the mailbag. But I would say we probably still have a couple more slots open. So if you want your question on the show, if you want your voice to be heard, hashtag Texans, or you can super chat to get on the program. And as always, if you super chat, you are 100% going to get on the show, and you get a chance to win the CJ Stroud Funko Pop. Here we go. Dominique says, if I win today, the Texans will win on Monday. Well, I hope you win today then, Dominique, because I need a Texans win. Brendan says, how many questions can you have? I would say on average for a mailbag, I answer anywhere from like 10, 15. If we have a lot of good questions, maybe 20 questions, but usually around 10. Yeah. Depends on the depth, the accuracy. Yeah, a little bit. All right. Whenever you're ready. All right, here we go. We're going to get into this Texans mailbag, final segment on today's show. And then right after that, we will do we're going to spin a wheel to see who's going to win this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. All right, you ready to roll? All right, here we go. A Texans Today mailbag coming up right now. On today's show, I'm going to be answering questions for my live audience. Every Wednesday at 3:30, we go live here on Texans Today. This is from my live show on September 10th, 2025. Use hashtag Texans or Super Chat to get on the program, and all the questions are from our loyal subscribers who tuned in to our Texans Today live show. And a quick reminder, I will be live week 2, Monday Night Football, the Texans home opener. We will be live. So make sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications, and join us as we have more giveaways. We'll have live play-by-play and a ton of fun as we get ready for this Week 2 matchup. And the first question is around this Week 2 matchup. The Drunk Texan, should I start Nico Collins on my fantasy team over Emeka Egbuka? I'll say this. I don't claim to be a fantasy football expert, but I do know rookies are very up and down. Emeka Egbuka had 2 touchdowns, a really, really good week 1. Hell, he's on one of my fantasy teams as well. Really good week 1 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Texans defense, better than the Falcons, though. I think, especially if Stingley's matching up against Egbuka, I would put my money on Nico Collins. I would go ahead and start him because I think, especially after only getting 3 catches in that week 1 loss to the Rams, they're going to want to get the ball to Nico Collins more. I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans' first drive, they maybe take a shot deep to Nico Collins to see about getting him involved and see if they can get a splash play to him early on. I would say start Nico Collins over Emeka Egbuka. All right, here we go. Brendan D'Souza, hashtag Texans. Do you think the Texans are going to use Woody Marks this weekend? I hope so. I talked about on my live show there was a glaring weakness on this Texans team, and it's on the interior of the offensive line. And a guy like Woody Marks, I think, can help that in the screen game. That's why they drafted him out of USC, because he's really good catching the ball out of the backfield. So if they're able to get him involved in the screen game, some of those, running through the air. So, pass plays where he kind of motions out and it's a quick throw to him. I think getting him involved in that way can really help this offense open up a little bit more, especially against a stout front with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. They have Vita Vea, a massive dude. They also have Kalijah Cansey, another good defensive lineman. So I really, really hope they could use Woody Marks just a little bit more in this Week 2 game. Let's look at Nelson Tang's World. Is Nico Collins' Week 1 performance a red flag or not? I would say no. I think it's kind of a little bit on Nick Caley, the new Texans offensive coordinator. I don't love the game that he called. Only 3 receptions, 25 yards. He was only targeted 5 times. He had one ball on the first drive that maybe should have been a catch. It was a really good back shoulder throw by CJ Stroud. But I wouldn't say it's a red flag whatsoever. I would say as long as Nico Collins is healthy, we're in a good spot. We just need to try to get him the ball a little bit more. The Texans offense could never get into a rhythm. Let's see if they can change that in week 2. I wouldn't be too worried. Nico Collins is still, athletically amazing and talented enough to be, I would say, a top 5 receiver in this league whenever he has everything put together. Amanda Pearl, #Texans, should we be worried about the depth of the O-line, and should we trade draft picks to get a star to protect our guy? Yes. Yes, we should be worried about the Texans offensive line. And I kind of like the fact that you brought up, should we trade to get another offensive lineman? Because when we look back at it, like him or not, the best Texans offensive lineman in the past 5, 6, 7 years has been Laramie Tunsil. The Texans did not draft him. They gave up a ton of draft capital, actually, to trade for him from the Miami Dolphins. And I'm not saying I want the Texans to go out and trade multiple first-round picks for another offensive lineman, because I like what you have in Ariante Ursery as a left tackle. But I wouldn't mind trying to go out and maybe trade for a guy, I don't know, like, I actually have a couple listed right here. Maybe like a Eric McCoy from the Saints, a Jackson Powers Johnson from the Raiders, a John Michael Schmitz from the Giants, and Ethan Postich from the Browns. A bunch of centers that I think the Texans, oh, thank you, Lopez. A bunch of centers that I think the Texans could look to try to get. So I wouldn't mind whatsoever if the Texans use some draft capital, maybe one of these really good defensive tackles that they have. They have a bounty of them. They're maybe able to dangle one of those as like, hey, a trade chip. We need an offensive lineman. Anybody need a defensive lineman? That will help a ton for this Texans team, and I wouldn't mind it whatsoever because the Texans so far drafting offensive linemen, a lot of misses. Blake Fisher, Juice Scruggs, Kenyon Green. A lot of misses. All right, next up, H's up. Nico needs to show up Monday or we screwed. Yeah. I kind of go along with the first question. I think Nico Collins is going to be a lot better in this week 2 matchup. And I want to see Nico Collins show out more than anybody. And I think with the emphasis on getting him the ball, and especially if the Texans are able to kind of hold up a little bit more up front, that's going to help a lot on this Texans offense. I like this question. Which player do you think needs to step up for the Texans to beat the Bucs in week? Oh, that should be week 2. That's my bad. In week 2, who do you think the Texans need to step up to beat the Bucs in week 2? Let me know down in the comments section. I would say, Jarrett Patterson, the starting center for this Texans team. He definitely needs to step up in week 2 up against the Buccaneers, because if not, it's going to be a long day for CJ Stroud. I don't know if they'll be able to run the ball. It's going to be a tough one if they're not able to, protect him, especially, like I mentioned, with a lot of the really good Bucs defensive linemen on the interior. So Jarrett Patterson, guy who started a lot last year, a late-round pick out of Notre Dame, once again has a chance to prove himself in being the Texans starting center this week up against the Bucs. We have more questions coming up from our live audience, but first, this show is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Get started today with America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. You and I, we make decisions every single day. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks, it's super simple. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in to win up to 2,000 times your money. Also, Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money if one of your picks doesn't hit. And this is my lineup going into Monday night. Bucky Irving, less on rush yards. CJ Stroud, more on passing touchdowns. Riley Dixon, the Bucs punter, give me the more on his punts. And Tommy Townsend, give me the less on his punts. Even if one of these doesn't hit, I can still win some money, and you can use this lineup or make your own with our friends over at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Get started today with our friends at Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Brendan D'Souza, do you think the Bucs have an easier defense or not than the Rams? It's a tough question. I think it's comparable. The Rams definitely offered a tough task in week 1. A really, really good showing by a couple of their edge rushers and defensive linemen. I thought Kobe Turner had a good game. Obviously, they have Byron Young. They have Jared Verse, Braden Fisk as well. A lot of those young guys on the interior and along the defensive front seven for that Rams team were getting after it. The Bucs, kind of similar. They have a lot of really good players as well. They have Hassan Reddick, Yaya Diaby on the outside. They have Vita Vea. They have Kalijah Cansey, who sneakily might be one of the best players on this Bucs defense. I think it's going to be a tough task. I wouldn't say it's easier than the Rams. Maybe a little bit of a different challenge that they'll kind of face with the size of Vita Vea on the inside. I think maybe the secondary might be a little bit worse than the Rams, where that's where CJ Stroud can come in and maybe help propel this Texans team to a win if he can air it out and play good on Monday night. Dominique, was Petrie the biggest liability on defense up against the Rams? Oh, that's a tough one, because he obviously led up the first down to Puka Nacua that ended the game, and that's a tough position to be in. I mean, you're the slot guy, the slot corner, going up against the other team's number 1, a top 10 style receiver in Puka Nacua. That's a tough battle for him. I wouldn't say he was the biggest liability on defense. Sneakily, you know who didn't have a good game? The 2 second-year guys. Kamari Lassiter, Kalen Bullock, I thought they had kind of a dud for a first game. Obviously, the defense only let up 14 points, so this is me kind of like picking straws, kind of analyzing a little deep on this Texans defense. I would say those guys played a little bit worse than Petrie did, though. I wouldn't call him the biggest liability, but in man-to-man, game on the line, I don't want Petrie up against their best wide receiver. We saw it last year against the Jets with Devontae Adams. And then this year with the Rams up against Puka Nacua. That's kind of on this Texans coaching staff and this Texans defensive coordinator and DeMeco Ryans. We don't need to have Jalen Petrie on the other team's best receiver in crunch time situations. I know they usually keep Stingley on one side and they keep Kamara. I don't care. In that situation, Derek Stingley should have been on Puka Nacua. I don't care what you say about it. Craze, Texans, would you trade Stingley for a better O-line? This is a loaded question. Like, are you saying the entire offensive line is better? Because, that's a tough one.
Let's say you get like a franchise left tackle.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because he's saying some O-line. If it was one player, no. If you could tell me I could trade Derek Stingley, though, for 2 above-average starters on the offensive line, I might take that. Because we've seen it before. If you have one good offensive lineman, that does nothing. You need a unit. So if we're able to get 2 good starters and then add them to maybe Ursery and then maybe, Titus Howard, right tackle, like 2 good interior starters, like a, maybe top 5 center, a top 10 guard, I might consider that. Derek Stingley is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Last year was a top 2 corner in the NFL. But this offensive line has been a problem for the past couple seasons. If we were able to mitigate that, that would help a lot of the problems. So, a tough question here. Obviously, I love Derek Stingley. I don't want to trade Derek Stingley. But if it meant that we got 2 amazing offensive linemen, if it was 2, that would be a tough question. Let me know down in the comment section, what would you do? Derek Stingley, would you trade him for 2 really good offensive linemen? Give me a yes, give me a no. I'm interested to see what y'all have to say on this one. Next one, Aggressive Andre. If Joe Mixon is out there if Joe Mixon is out for the rest of the year, do the Texans make a move? This is a tough one too, because he's on short-term IR. He's eligible to return after week 4. Texans have a bye week in week 6, and then I believe the trade deadline is probably, I think it's like week 8 or week 9 in this year. So it's going to be a tough decision, and I think it really lands on how good does Nick Chubb look. If Nick Chubb continues to look good in this offense, is able to run the rock, I say no. But if it's so-so, I think there's multiple teams that would be willing to trade good running backs for a draft pick, right? The Jets have a couple really good running backs in Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. I wouldn't mind looking at one of those guys. I mean, we just saw the Eagles trade for Tank Bigsby. I don't know. That's a tough decision. That's a really tough decision to, make a move like that. There's also some decent running backs in free agency as well. Gus Edwards is still available. A couple other decent running backs still available. So, for right now, I'm leaning no. I'm going to lean no. Let me know what you think, though, down in the comments section. Do you think the Texans need to add a running back? Especially if Joe Mixon isn't good to go for the remainder of the season. What would you do? Let me know down in the comments section. This is a lot of tough questions today on this mailbag. All right, 1TZ_Cosmo. Do you think CJ being much better under pressure compared to last year will have a huge impact even if the O-line improves slightly? Will Ed Ingram and Christian Kirk's return be helpful? Last part, 100% yes. I think having Ed Ingram at right guard, he was the highest graded Texans offensive lineman per PFF during training camp and during the preseason. So having maybe your best performer out right before week 1 and having everybody shuffle, that was a big impact. And plus, I've mentioned it before, I think Titus Howard's a better tackle than he is a guard. So having to put Titus Howard back into guard, I think that kind of screwed a lot of things up. And I think C.J. Stroud being better under pressure compared to last year, it is a huge impact. We already saw it in week 1. Even though the offense didn't play well, C.J. used his feet a lot more in week 1 of this year than he did a lot of the times in the regular season last year. His ability to get first downs with his legs is going to be huge if he's able to continue to do that and the O-line improves each week. I think this Texans offense can be good by year's end. Quick reminder, we will be live week 2 whenever the Texans face the Bucs on Monday Night Football. It's a little bit of an early kickoff, 6 o'clock Central Time, so be there. Make sure you're tuned in for our live watch party as we break down everything around this matchup and give play-by-play, giveaways, and a ton of fun as we root on the Texans to get a dub in week 2. All right, here we go. Kenyon Green, we need to stop. No shot. I'm okay on Kenyon Green. Kenyon Green, the former Texans first-round pick who we traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He was a bust. No. I'm okay on that. Yeah. I'm okay. Or he's on their practice squad right now, so we could sign him. H-Town, appreciate you, but I'm okay on that. I'm okay on that. All right. I'm going to send you this list here in a second, but I'm going to give everybody one last shot. I'm actually need to check my my Twitter, to see if anybody else messaged me. No? Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Last chance to get in. If you want a chance to win this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. My question is not in. Oh, I can answer your question, KSI. Jeremy, I know we are the favorite to win the AFC South. Have you noticed that the Texans never three-peat the division, though? Is there a curse with the three-peats? It happened in 2013. Yeah, I mean, they won 2013, won 2014, did not win in 2015. They won 2017, 2018, did not win in 2019, and then 2020. They won 2011, 2012, didn't win 2013. They won 2015, 2016, did not win 2017. And then they won 2018, 2019, did not win 2020. I hope not. I mean, it's hard to three-peat. You're basically saying you have dominance over the division for 3 straight years. So, of course, it's going to be tough. Man, I hope this isn't the case. I hope it's not the case. All right, last chance to get in. Every Super Chat dollar you spend is another raffle ticket for this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. Last chance to get in. I'm going to send Lopez the list here, and I'll give you 60 seconds to get in if you want. And then a reminder, Nico Collins autographed picture, JSA certified. This is going to happen at the end of the month. I'm not doing this today. But every $5 you spend in the month of September, you get a chance to win this Nico Collins autograph picture. And if you send in a 5 right now, that's 5 raffle tickets for the Funko Pop, and you get 1 for this Nico Collins autograph. Pretty good deal, if you ask me. Pretty good deal. Dude, this is dope. Nico Collins. Dude, I mean, him running out of the tunnel like that, it is in a plastic case right now, so don't worry. My grimy fingerprints aren't going to get on it. But pretty dope. Pretty dope. I'll give y'all about 30 more seconds to get in if you want a chance to win that bad boy. I also said if you follow me on X, if you DM me CJ, you'll get a chance to win that. If you want a chance to win that as well. So, last chance. Lopez, one more time. Appreciate you for rocking and rolling with us today here on Texans Today. Live show would not have been able to get done without Lopez, so spam the Lopez's down in the comments section. Oh, here we go. Evan McGinley's getting in with the super chat. Nick Caley better have watched the Bears game. Yeah. I hope so. I hope Nick Caley watched a lot of tape this past weekend because very underwhelming performance. And I get it, too, a first-time OC, but I'm not going to – he's the Texans OC. I'm going to root him on. I hope him the best of luck. But, guys, this is why I was saying in the offseason my number one target for the Texans was Chip Kelly, an experienced offensive coordinator. I think him with C.J. Stroud could have been electric. Obviously, they didn't cross paths, but both spent time at Ohio State. That would have been mine. That would have been my pick as the OC. Chip Kelly had a great week 1 with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, maybe it was a money issue because I know Chip Kelly got the bag from the Raiders, $3 million to be their OC. Maybe the Texans weren't comfortable paying that. But at the same time, you get what you pay for. And Chip Kelly, the offense with the Raiders looked a ton better than the offense for the Texans in week 1. And I know the Texans were going up against the Rams. The Raiders were going up against the Patriots. So it's not apples and oranges. But at the same time, whenever you have an experienced OC, a little bit better. Also, Evan McGinley takes some notes and switch it up. I agree. So that's 4 tickets for Evan McGinley for the C.J. Stroud Funko Pop. If nobody else wants to get in, all good. I'll go ahead and send those names over to my man Lopez, and then we will draw to see who does it. All right, TV. There we go. We're going to do the wheel right now. Hopefully, whoever wins it, hopefully you're here. And we're able to give this CJ Stroud Funko Pop away. Big A, what's up, gang? Let's see those H's. Hell yeah. Fawnville, no, the Funko Pop is not signed. The Nico Collins picture is signed. Maybe try deleting the names and putting it back in. It's not even a lot. It says not even a lot of names, which is kind of weird. Gio said, totally agree with you, Chuggs, about adding Chip. You get what you pay for. I was trying to tell you all this offseason. Maybe try adding half the names and then seeing if, not all of them. I don't know. And the mess part is we honestly could have won that game. I agree. We could have. I mean, we were driving at the end. And it was a untimely fumble by Dario Gumbawale that kind of, I'm not putting the whole loss on him, but that was definitely the nail in the coffin for this team was the fumble. You had 3 timeouts and you needed to stop them, but even if you were able to stop them there, it was going to be a tough road to get back and score. Dude, yeah. That was free. That's Evan, that's what I'm saying. Free Woody Marks. There we go. All right. We have our wheel. We're going to spin it for the CJ Stroud Funko Pop. Good luck to everybody. Maybe if you want to give me one shuffle so not all the names are together. Here's all the names. There we go. Whoever it lands on is going to win this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. All right. Good luck to everybody. Let's see. Oh, the Drunk Texan. The Drunk Texan, are you here? He was here basically the entire show. Hopefully you're here. The Drunk Texan. To claim your CJ Stroud Funko Pop. We played for the moment. The good thing is it's an AFC matchup. It's not an AFC matchup. One we can lose. All right. Yeah. Let me know your confidence level. Yeah, NFC. I got you, Jimmy. Confidence level going into this Monday Night Football matchup. The Drunken Texan. Are you here to win your prize? I'm at a 7 from Evan McGinley. Something has to give, Chuck. Dude, I agree. This offense needs to step it up. I need it. I'm gonna pull my hair out if we can't get a touchdown. If it's another, I've been saying it is way too overboard to even mention like hot seat DeMeco Ryans. I'll tell you this: if there is no touchdown scored by this Texans team on Monday, DeMeco might have to be on the hot seat. Not fired, not saying that he needs to be fired or anything, but it needs to be in question his ability to help this team and, pick out the right guys to help, propel this offense. If we can't score touchdowns, if it's 2 weeks in a row, no touchdowns with a quarterback like CJ Stroud, that's a massive problem. That's a massive problem. All right. The Drunken Texan. You know what? All right. Well, who is Dominique still here? I see Evan McGinley. If he doesn't claim it right now, we might just take his name out and spin the wheel again. Yeah. I don't see him on Twitter. Jay Merck is here. Mercado. The Drunken Texan. Are you here? All right. Well, let's take him out and spin it again, because I want somebody here to win it. I want to give this away. Gio says, I'm sure there's a plenty of Drunken Texans after a loss. Yeah. Brendan D'Souza, you are on there for sure, because I have your name on this list right here. Yeah. Brendan D'Souza. Big A, how to join the spin. send $1 super chat in right now, and then I'll put you on the wheel. But we're about to spin it again to see who wins this bad boy. I wanted to. It didn't get claimed on Sunday, so I'm gonna make sure that it gets claimed today. Somebody's gonna win this bad boy today because I think it's cool, and I don't know. I want to give it away to somebody. I don't want to. Like I could just have it at my desk, but. Yeah, I'm not gonna open it. I'm not gonna open it. But yeah, $1 super chat if you want to get in. But we're about to spin it here in just a second, so it's got to be in the next like 5 seconds. All right. Okay, we're gonna spin this again. Hopefully, it lands on somebody who's here, and we can give away this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. You ready? Here, let's go. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Logan Grizel. Logan, are you here? Or this is just so bad luck. This is bad television, Lopez.
I have bad news for you. I haven't seen Logan's name in a while.
Logan Grizel. Yeah, he was the second entry. Logan, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to join, or 30 seconds to say you're here. If not, just delete the entry and we'll spin it again. Oh, this is bad luck, man.
Big A might have more time to join.
Big A, if you want another chance, you can send in $1 right now because it doesn't look like Logan is here. Evan said, give me one more. Well, no, I just give one more to Evan McGinley. Yeah. You can take Logan's name out. Brendan, I agree. I do want to do only the people that are here, but there's no way for me to tell who exactly is here and not. And Big A has one. Dude, if Big A won right now, that would be sick. All right, so add one more for Evan and one more for Big A. Yeah, there we go. Not going to lie. Kind of electric if Big A wins this. All right. Let's spin it hopefully for the last time. Go ahead. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. I did see Jay Merck here. All right, Jonathan Mercado. And I have him on Twitter, so we should be good. All right. We finally did it. We gave away an item. We gave away an item. Jonathan Mercado, hit me up on X. I think you were one of the people that DM'd me. Yep, he's here. There we go. DM me your shipping address and everything. Jonathan Mercado, and then I'll be able to send you this CJ Stroud Funko Pop. Good, congrats on the win. Hey, be here. Make sure you're here at the end of the show to get your prizes. All right, that's all I got for you on today's show. Make sure to join us live week 2 for our watch party on Monday Night Football. From me, from producer Lopez, it's been real. Thank you to everybody who's joined our live show, and I'll be off next week because I will be in Mexico. Celebrating my wife's 30th birthday, so I will be I will not have my live show on Wednesday next week, but we'll pick up the week after that. Until next time, I will be Jeremy Chuggs. Y'all will be Houston Texans fans. This is Texans Today. Have a great day.